America is in an identity crisis, and when you see a documentary that puts it in bold, clear letters, it really stirs you up and shakes you up. And there is a documentary breaking out right now, along with Matt Walsh's Am I a Racist? There's another one you've got to know about. It's called America's Identity Crisis. It's coming out now, and you can get a hold of it. I'm going to talk to you about that in this show. I'm going to hold off on that. We got this award-winning, like 40, 50, 60 award-winning awards for this woman documentary filmmaker. We're going to do a special on this, telling the story of what's happening in America. And, you know, I've got to say, there's all this jockeying back and forth with the polls. You know, it's like Trump's ahead, Harris is ahead, Harris is ahead, Trump's ahead. Then you've got the Department of Justice releasing a letter with a $150,000 award for anyone that can shoot Trump. You know, they're almost, you would think the Department of Justice, you'd think the government is trying to stop Trump from winning the election. That's just a theory I've got. But how does that affect the markets? I'm going to tell you right now. Vast instability. And if you want to prepare for the chaos, and we're not even in the October surprise yet, if you want to prepare for the chaos, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/gold. I'm probably only going to be offering this for another 30 days or so. That's our gold thing, because I'm switching things up, because I see a change coming. So like, man, the boat's leaving, so get on board. If you've been playing games with this, you need to research it now. lancewallnau.com/gold. Download the 21-page report. See how the other nations are lining up with gold, because they're all decoupling from the instability of America. And our dollar is no more sound, evidently, than our Department of Justice. So lancewallnau.com/gold will give you a boat that will float. That much you can be sure of. Now let's get into today's wild documentary. Well, welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. And every now and then we have like Kevin Sorbo or different producers, movies, directors. And right now, I think it's the first time I've actually been able to have Sondra Martin Hicks, winner of over 60 international awards, a brilliant documentary filmmaker who just completed a new project. And the reason why I know Sondra is because her daughter Chelsea is our producer. So she's trained Chelsea, and that we got the benefit of it. So Sondra's been working for 2 years on this secret project, this movie I've heard about. And now with Matt Walsh's coming out, and with this coming out, I think we have some powerful new documentaries taking place. This one's on America's identity crisis. And so, Sondra, welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. And what do you want to tell us about this new project?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm enormously excited about it. I've been making films for over 40 years, and I have no doubt this is the best project I've ever done, and surely the most important. You know, I've always been fascinated with the 7 mountains that you talk about, and I wanted to do a story. I didn't want to do a film where I was just griping about all the things wrong, because we have enough of that. And I wanted to find a way to give people inspiration or answers on what they could do to make a difference. So we set out to tell a story about different patriots around America in the 7 spheres of influence that's making a difference. And that's what this is.
All right. So I'm going to kick this off right away with the trailer. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited about it. So let's see the trailer.
Do you think America's having an identity crisis?
Yes, very much so. My people perish for lack of knowledge.
There's a lot of targeting of conservative children.
That they're coming after the children. It's like, you know what? We have to do something. This is war.
Professors and students are trained in a particular kind of way, and that there's indoctrination that takes place that you're not aware of.
All the curriculum was dumbed down, and we moved away from teaching knowledge, facts, and information, and instead indoctrinated kids with attitudes, values, and beliefs that most parents don't believe and don't want their children believing.
It's the globalists that want to reshape the globe are a elite group, a small group of gatekeeper elites.
Our children are being formed, they're being shaped by a system that is actually designed to turn them away from God, to turn them away from the principles that are at the foundation of our country, really even to turn them against their families.
that the condition of the land is always directly related to the condition of God's people's hearts. And so we're now maybe facing national judgment.
Now what we're up against is the establishment. We see that we need to have some kind of a healthy revolution. We would always say a nonviolent revolution, but there has to be a revolution. Otherwise, we're going to go down because these foxes are part of a world order. They're globalists. They're not Americans. And they'll sink this ship.
Just think of the power of those 3 words, just a mom. You are fighting for something that means more to you than anything in the world, your children.
There are patriots like you and me fighting against the globalist agenda in order to preserve our republic. I want you to meet them and be inspired. Are you ready? Let's go.
Powerful. I want you to go to aicmovie.com/Lance. That way I can get in touch with you. aicmovie.com/Lance. That is, and that was only a handful of the like 20 experts and that you. How did you compile this list? How did you do this? It's like a PhD project.
I know. You know, this is what I do when I start these projects. I go, you know, I'm overwhelmed, Lord. You just got to tell me what to do. So I think it's actually God led. You know, I would just find people. Well, actually, one woman in it is in Erin Lee. I was actually watching your last Courage tour, which I thought was off the chart, by the way.
Right.
And I heard Erin Lee on stage, and I went, oh, gasped. So I contacted Chelsea, and I said, I got to talk to Erin. So she said, hey, my mom wants to talk to you. So I flew to Colorado and interviewed Erin and got that incredible story about what the schools did to her kid.
Tell people what the story with Erin Lee is, because the more you hear these stories, folks, the more stirred up I think you're going to be in a good, hopefully a good way.
Yeah. Well, Erin's daughter went to school at 12 years old. The school tried to manipulate these children and tell them, hey, if you're not comfortable in your own body, that means you're transgender. I'm here to tell you there is no 12-year-old girl comfortable in her own body when you just hit puberty. So she's, as you know, I think you know, Erin, very brave and a strong woman. She was actually a liberal and voted for the gay governor and all that. And then when they did what they did to her daughter, it woke her eyes up. But she now fights for children everywhere because her daughter and 5 other children in her neighborhood all were on the brink of suicide. One girl took bleach because these teachers actually get rewarded for the children that go over to the transgender world. They get promoted, and it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
You know what gets me? It's that if we were to, as Pentecostals, have our teachers union sharing the gospel, getting kids to say a sinner's prayer, telling them, don't tell your parents what you're doing in here, having them form little prayer groups, and then water baptizing them and getting them all Pentecostalized. But we keep it a secret, and we incentivize the parents by paying them to do it, and kids get to put a little I love Jesus, rubber bands on their wrists, and they get this stuff that they give the kids in the class. In other words, if evangelicals did what the left does to evangelize voters for their social revolution, it would be shut down on day one with a hue and a cry. All the media would be separation, but it's happening right now. And what's sad is the conditioning of conservatives and Christians, and the weakness in our morals. I don't know what it is. Our will to resist is such that we acquiesce till you're at the edge of a cliff. Then a filmmaker comes out, and thank God for, like I said, Matt Walsh, for you, for the people that are coming back and pushing back and saying, well, here it is. Mm-hmm. Take a look, take a whiff of where we're at. Now, what do you do? So what is the call to action here? What is there? Is there one? Actually, you're as a documentary filmmaker, you're just giving the facts, right?
Well,
You're not trying to...
what I did is I do share. I give the first part of the film. We give infallible proof, just one thing after another of how America was founded on biblical principles. And then the second thing we do is we take a look at this crisis in education, how it got started, who's behind it. And then we go to what people are doing. Like, for example, there's a man named Rocky Malloy who has an organization called National Chaplaincy Organization. He was in Latin America for 30 years. And he said, I realized he was in like Venezuela and these other countries. He said, we went from democracy to communist one day, overnight. overnight, every time it happened in all these different countries. He said what he realized, the same colors, the same people, the same verbiage, everything. All the people that were involved in doing that were now targeting America. And he said, we've got to go home. So he came home to get chaplains in America. And they are busting up child trafficking rings. And here's the amazing part. In all the schools, he's in 30,000 schools, which is multi-millions of people. They reduced teen pregnancy by 80%. There is no recorded suicides at all in these schools where they've gone in. And this is the government doing this testing of these things. Because what he says is when you bring righteousness into a school, it stops all that stuff. So that's what he's doing on that end.
Well, because righteousness is a spiritual force, God's there. And then the conscience is God-given. So once the conscience gets properly educated, it illuminates itself. It's the moral compass that God put inside of human beings. So you have educators here. You're focusing on education. What is Bill Federer doing here? Tell me about Bill. I see my buddy Bill here.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bill does a great job. Bill he's in the first section where he gives us a lot of the background of America and how we were founded on biblical principles and how things came together. And we talk about the different scriptures that were used in the forming of our government. Bill's just a wealth of information. You can sit and listen to Bill all day.
Yeah, we have him on the Courage Tour. And what's interesting about Bill's contribution is that so many of us have been intimidated into believing that Christianity is just your personal belief and that government has always been this bastion of secular diversity. The truth of the matter is, when you listen to the historians, you'll find out that I think it's the word federal, actually, he was telling me, is the Latin word for covenant, that we actually formed our first colonies based upon a Christian worldview. And the history is there I think it's in the 1600s, the first 5 cities that were formed from the Pilgrims and the Puritans had a covenant community that was Christian in nature. Bradford, etc., Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. And so for people to say that we don't have a Christian heritage, you could say we've left it, but you can't say we didn't start there, because that's the history of this. How far back in history do you go?
Well, we talk about the Quakers. The Pilgrims and the Quakers came, but what we found out was that a lot of our laws and values are based on Quakers. In fact, the Bill of Rights was based on the Quakers' Constitution, like in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, and other places.
Right. So Roger Williams in Rhode Island and William Penn in Pennsylvania established these ideas. So, all right, tell me about the response so far. Have you had any screenings of this? So it's coming out when? It's coming out tomorrow?
Yes. Well, I guess today. It's coming out today. Yes,
You're watching it today. That's why you want to go to aicmovie.com/Lance. What's been the reaction so far?
Well, I've actually been blown. I know when things are good and when they're bad. And I looked at this and I thought, wow, this really feels very good. It really does. And I sent it off to some media people to look at. I've had texts back like, this is astoundingly good. This is a masterpiece. This is just blowing my mind. I'm excellent. I'm very excited and very pleased. I've never had such response to any film I've ever done.
Well, I want to be able to, we only got 30 seconds left here. I want to be able to come back to, you do some great footage on certain locations. And I want you to talk to me about the places that you went. And you did have, at one point, a beautiful story about how God had to show up for you to get the shot you needed to end this project. And I want you to share that with everybody, because I think I love how if you're called to God to do something, God will show up just for you.
Isn't that the truth?
We're going to be right back. You don't want to miss this next segment with Sondra Martin Hicks. I wanted to take a minute to talk about one of my great heroes of the faith, which is Mike Lindell. What's really cool about Mike is it's not just the pillow. It's the fact that the guy makes really cool products. For instance, I start my day off with my coffee. I had a cup of coffee the other day here in the office, and I said, no, I want that. It wasn't like Starbucks. It tastes better. And it was Mike's coffee. I said, what is it? They go, Mike Lindell's coffee. I said, my gosh, get a bunch of my coffees. Now, the best way to start the day is you put on these slippers, right? And have your My Coffee. If you've not worked with these slippers yet, I'm not kidding you. There's a special kind of design that Mike has put into these, with 4 layers of cushion with a solid sole and a fur interior. I call it my sip and slip strategy. I start my day off by slipping on my slippers and having a sip of Mike's coffee. But you know what else I'm curious about now? Because I've got to check out the 2.0 pillow. The 2.0 pillow actually is designed so that it distributes the heat of your own head, your face. You know, you're lying there, and it makes it so the pillow's always cool. Now, I like that because I wake up in the middle of the night and have to flip over my pillow because it gets hot. Mike's solved that problem. I want you to go to mypillow.com, promo code Lance, because you can get a discount that I've set up for the pillows, for the coffee, and for the slippers. And do it today. You'll be happy. All right, America's Identity Crisis, a new documentary, stories of patriots leading the charge to preserve America's freedom. Go to aicmovie.com/Lance. Right now, you can get access to it. I'm kind of curious about Michelle Bachmann. I see you have here. Tell me about what is she saying there?
Well, it was kind of a surprise. I thought we were going to talk about something else, and she started off. I said, you know, you were in government and now you're in education. So she started just very passionate about. She started telling me about all the things she had uncovered about education, and she is really pushing for the federal government, the Department of Education, to be debunked because she says it's a waste. So she just gave us a lot of stuff of what she found out and what happened to her in Minnesota. And you know, fighting for education is how she got into politics in the first place. I did not know that. She was a mom, and she was upset about what was going on to education, and one thing led to another, and people said, hey, there's an opening, you got to run for office. So it was through education. So anyway, as you know, she was a congresswoman. She left there, and now she's the dean at Regent University. So she was a great contribution.
You were on several locations too. Tell me what historically on this documentary, where did this journey take you?
We're all over Washington, D.C., took us to Valley Forge, took us to California, took us up to Colorado, up to Michigan,
wow,
all over Texas, down in Florida, just a lot of places.
And Gettysburg.
Yes, in Gettysburg.
Tell folks about the flag.
Yeah, there was this. When I first started this documentary like 2 years ago, we were in Valley Forge doing research, and I saw the arches. What do you call the memorial arches there? Where, you know, that was horrible winter that George Washington and his troops had. Yes,
okay.
And I saw it, and I went, oh, I have to end the movie with Josh walking through. Now, Josh is my son, and the way this came about is we started working on the film. And I realized how much he had been lied to in school, and he was very angry because he's very conservative. And I said, you know what? I think the right thing to do is for you to go on this journey, and I'm going to document it. And I want you to go on a journey as a person in their 20s that has been lied to. So the story is really from his perspective of a young person. So anyway, we went back just about a month ago, and we set up our cameras. It's this beautiful shot, bottom of the hill. You look up, you see the arches. And as he comes through the arches, there's a flag right there. There was no wind at all that day. It was hot, and there was no wind. And I set up the cameras, and I said, you know, Lord, it would mean so much to me if you could just make the wind blow that flag open, because it's, you know, this is the end of the movie, and it's kind of a dud with it hanging low. You're praying for God to
give you a change in weather patterns.
So my camera was recording, and you can hear me talking to the camera. I said, Lord, please just blow your breath on this flag and make it open. Well, nothing's happening. And then I sent him up, and I said, okay, come down the hill. Well, he walked the wrong path. It didn't work, but the flag wasn't moving. So then he turned on his cell phone. I said, all right, turn on your cell phone, because this is the last take. We're going to get it. As he's coming through, you hear me. I said, Lord, would you please just blow your breath on that flag? Just for me, just for this flag. Please just blow your breath. And I just kept saying, blow your breath. And he comes, there's no wind, but all of a sudden that flag starts, and then it blows full open. You can see all the stars and stripes, and he walks down off the hill, and about the time he gets out of the shot, the wind stops, the flag goes back down. So I had the camera rolling for about 10 minutes, and it's the only time the flag moved. I love it.
Powerful. I just got a chance to see part of it, so I'm looking forward to seeing all of it. Do you guys have, I saw the trailer. Do you have any other segments of this?
That's right. I did bring another segment. That was one of my favorite parts in the whole show, is we did an interview here with you, and my son asked you, he said, Lance, what do you think about being called a Christian nationalist? And I think your answer is just awesome. And then Dr. Swain had an answer to the same thing. So I'd love for you to roll that now so everybody can see it.
Okay, let me see that.
So how do you feel about being called a Christian nationalist?
They may say Christian nationalism, this or that. The truth is, I wish we had Christian nationalism, because if we did, we would have a nation that was trying to work for the people rather than work for the benefit of ideologic, extremists who want to take away meat from your table, force diversity on your corporation, and make your kids become LGBTQ advocates at 11, 12, and 13 in school. All of that is what I would call the real nationalism that we should be worrying about. Only it's not nationalism. It's more like progressive indoctrination. It's Marxist in nature.
Christian nationalism is a term that the left came up with to silence Christian people or to deter them from participating in elections. And so, I understand the left. In fact, I was a Democrat most of my life, and one of the things the Democrats do well is labeling.
One of the things they do well is labeling. What's funny about that, I forgot about that conversation, actually. What's funny about that is the term that I ran into in 2016 when I first started getting involved with venturing into the political arena was white Christian nationalists, because they were trying to play off of George Floyd and Charlottesville and all that, except that it was Diamond and Silk and David Harris and Carol Swain. It was so many black people were coming out supporting Trump that it was creating a punchline that was painful to the left. And so the Bill Maher's and Jon Stewart's of this world had to drop. They basically said, kill that. It's just Christian nationalists, because they couldn't say it was white anymore. But I mean, the left labels, and the right doesn't really do the labeling well. And for some reason, we keep on taking Affordable Care or the Something Reduction Act. I don't know who makes the decision on this. There should be some kind of a official bureau of, now we're not going to accept that language, because we always go up, we sign up on their language. It's maddening.
Well, I'll tell you why I put it in there. I wasn't sure whether I was going to put it in there or not. And then CBS News did that story with you a few weeks ago about the Christian national. I said, that's it. It's going in there.
Yeah, they love to make me the face of it. I keep dodging around. But, I don't know if we have it in there, but I remember I got a great response from Jason Matera. He says, forget Christian nationalists. I'm beyond that. I'm a Christian internationalist. I want Jesus everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with that. So if there's one thing that people can do right now to get a hold of this, you can go to AIC Movie, and it stands for America's Identity Crisis, AICmovie.com. And you could, and then what does it take you to? It takes you to Hearthstone? It takes you to your...
No, right there at AICmovie.com. You can rent it or purchase it. And, it's just like a typical streaming rental.
Super.
But I would say this is not a typical documentary. I promise you've never seen a documentary like this before. It's not about giving you facts and figures. We kind of do that in the beginning with education, but it's inspirational. I don't ever want to do films that are like just talking about what's wrong with America. I wanted to give people hope and inspiration. So who you're going to meet in this story is lots of patriots that are giving everything they have to make a difference, and they're being successful. That's what's great about it. Aaron is saving children. Another couple, Agees, they're putting up billboards all across America for different reasons. Dr. Bachman is making a difference in education, and there's all kinds of patriots. Moms for America, the leader of Moms for America is in there. And then there's some people that you've probably never heard of, but I just want you to see what other people are doing and be inspired, because everybody is given gifts. Well, everybody has a destiny, and they can do something.
We only got 3 minutes left here. It's going to be AICmovie.com/Lance. I forgot the /Lance. Get that in there. AICmovie.com/Lance. And you mentioned Davy Lou.
Yes.
And so tell me about Davy, because I'm curious about
Davy
him.
was such a fun guy. Davy was a very serious, successful animator at Disney. In fact, he created Simba. And if you ever saw the movie Mulan, the young man in Mulan, he designed that face to look like him. And he was really on the track for a great career in retirement. And he realized he had he loves Jesus, and he had a story about Noah's Ark that he wanted to do. And so he took it to Disney, and they said, oh, yeah, we're very interested. But they wanted him to make, I think some turtles were gay, and then another set of animals, he wanted them to be lesbian. And he went, I just can't do this. He said, my goal was to win an Oscar. And he said, I felt like Jesus said to me one day, look, you could bring me a truckload of Oscars, but I'd rather you just bring me one child. So what he does is he tells biblical stories through the eyes of animals. So he has this beautiful story called The Giant Leaf, and it's about Noah's Ark through animals' point of view. And it's this great scene, and they're all books that people could get his books. But when this little donkey, the story about this little donkey, or a fox named Can-Do. So, Disney has the mouse. He has this cute little fox, K-E-N-D-U, Can-Do. I can do all things through Christ. And when Can-Do goes into the ark, because they think it's an animal eater, because see, the animals are coming in and not coming out. He goes in and he sees his name is printed on a stall just for him, which that relates to our name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Yeah, CanDoKids.com. If anybody wants his books for your grandkids, they're awesome.
We got 1 minute and 30 seconds left, Sondra. So there are aspiring artists, actors, writers, producers, filmmakers. I know you can't say everything you would like to say, but what do you tell them that are out there? You've got all these awards. You've got 60 international awards. Give them a word about pursuing that vision.
Well, I would tell you the same thing. I was at a Christian film festival last year, and I was very honored. They gave us an award for one of our films, and they gave me this humanitarian award. And I went up to the stage, and I didn't talk about the film. I said, this is what I want to say to you. If you're a filmmaker, this is the greatest time ever in the history of filmmaking to be alive. Because when I started out, you had to be inside the Hollywood circle. There was no breaking in. Now, with all the technologies, you can make a movie in your basement. And let me tell you, it's our time. It's our time. And so you follow your heart, and you just have to get out there and you just have to do it. Watch a lot of films and learn. But this is what I want to say to people. Don't think that you have to preach a message. You just have to tell the stories, and God will talk to people, and people in their own heart will see the right thing to do. So I just say, follow your dreams.
And you're a great storyteller, a brilliant editor.
You.
And by the way, how much of this movie did you do on an iPhone? I mean, what's possible with technology?
I got to tell you, the opening of this, it's in the Congressional Reading Room, and it's gorgeous. I really wanted to start there with Josh's research, but they wouldn't let me take in professional cameras and tripods. So there's a lot of this film shot with the cell phone, but you would never know it. Handheld.
I'm saying that because you don't have to wait don't give me the excuse, I don't have the budget. Hey, listen, if you're a great storyteller, you know the craft, there's some stuff you could do on an iPhone. And when I saw the opening, I thought, that's breathtaking. I said, where is that? And then you leaned over and said, it's my iPhone too. I thought, I got to tell people on the podcast.
It is.
All right, AICmovie.com/Lance, America's Identity Crisis. It'll stir you, inform you, educate you, and introduce you to about 25 inspiring individuals who are making a massive difference just like you. And I look forward to having you again, Sondra. We're going to show some more of this now that I'm going to be able to watch it myself.
Awesome.
We'll be back with you again tomorrow. Don't want to miss one of these broadcasts. God bless.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.